Be ready for every moment. You don't know which check is the checkmate. The game of chess has certainly begun, and where are we standing now? Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. Our topic of discussion today revolves around the current political climate, which has led to a crisis. We've invited 3 lawyers and 1 civil rights activist to listen to their views as to how constitutional this change of hands have been, also with regard to what sort of actions can we envisage or expect in the next few days. To discuss all this and more, we've invited 4 guests to our studio this evening as usual. Let me quickly introduce them to you. Joining us this evening for the first time on the show is Mr. Janaka Dirasinghe, attorney at law. Nice to have you on board, Mr. Dirasinghe. Also joining us tonight on the show is Mr. U.R. De Silva, President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka after some time. Nice to have you on board as well. Mr. De Silva. Also joining us tonight on the show is the very vocal Kirti Tennakund, Executive Director of the Campaign for a Free and Fair Election. Nice to have you on board as well, Kirti. All joining us tonight on the show is Premnath Dulavatta. He's also an attorney at law as well as the convener of the Satya Gavesh movement. Nice to have you on board as well, Premnath. So let's start off tonight's show with the thoughts of the civil rights activist on the panel, who is an exception compared to the other lawyers who are present on the show tonight. So let's start off tonight's show with Kirti Tennakund, Executive Director of the Campaign for a Free and Fair Election. Kirti, let's leave aside the constitutionality of this whole change of hands during the last 3 to 4 days. Let's talk about governance, and let's talk about the ethics, the democracy surrounding what happened since last Friday. What are your thoughts as a civil rights activist?
I cannot understand why, Shamir, you are trying to isolate these 3-4 days alone. This is a process happened for last 14 months, and this last 14 months we were continuously talking about the unconstitutional things happening around the country, especially the 20th amendment. After the Supreme Court said that it cannot, the amendments proposed to the Provincial Council Act cannot go like that. The JVP, TNA, the SLFP and the UNP backed the parliamentary, decided to go behind the ethics and rules and regulation, basic practice of the parliament, to postpone the provincial council elections in a very unique way. And this is where this whole episode of violation or violating the constitution came into act. From that point, continuously we saw this act of violating the constitution in a way. Very basic principles of the practices of the parliament was very brutally ignored. And the speaker Karu Jayasuriya came very highly criticized by these some of the civil society real activists and the opposition, especially from the POTU and all that. And we should not forget that for the first time the delimitation report was handed over. The speaker did not act accordingly, and it was not tabled duly as the constitution explains to us. And then thereafter the delimitation report was not tabled, and then of course, I mean, the parliamentary representatives do not want the provincial council election, and thereafter now in the process of the reviewing process. Once again, yesterday was the day the report was due, but it was not handed over once again. So this whole episode for last 14 and a half months is not constitution. It was continuously violating the constitution.
So are you
here, Samir, what happened on last Friday is the same process come to a climax, and the president removed the prime minister. From that moment, we try to isolate that particular incident and talk about there's a huge violation of the constitution. I think when talking ethically, yes, there is a issue of the way they removed the prime minister. But here, in basic principles, if you look into the big picture, we cannot say this is a continuous violation of the constitution happened here, and it was flagged as the prime minister was removed and a new prime minister
Kirti,
came,
are
sworn
you
in.
trying to say in any way, is this an inevitable that just happened on Friday? Because when we heard the statement that was delivered by President Maithripala Sirisena on Sunday, he said very clearly, how can I be with a party who tried to kill me or assassinate him?
I think, I mean, this assassination plot, I mean, at the very early stages, we didn't recognize the importance. But by now, everything has surfacing into a very unbelievable circumstance, and unbelievable incidents and unbelievable data is coming out. Especially today, we saw that the letter which was written by Nalaka Silva, former senior DIG, to the STF chief, Mr. Lafi, and through the IGP, and it is unbelievable why at this particular point this sort of armory is needed. And it was very unique to see that this sort of allegation is coming from one side, from a party. It was not seriously concerned. We are talking about assassination attempt of a president and former defense secretary, and it was ignored by the IGP. The fabrications came out, the reasons given by the IGP is unbelievable. Now the information, the evidence given by the Nalaka Silva plus the Namal Kumar is surfaced, and now one of the premier the former minister is also linked with the incident, and why we cannot understand why proper investigation did not take place. And moreover, right, I mean, there was a very serious 7 incidents of corruption cases in related to this. Now, with very prominent, very close to Prime Minister, senior minister was involved with this. We know it's a Lanka Coal Company deal, and now the Indian housing project. I think at least the rough estimate of the commission alone is 1,127 case, if I remember it correctly. So I mean, these sort of issues, the pipeline, petroleum pipeline incident, and here, how long can a president or a country ignore these sort of incidents?
Thank you very much, Keith Tendakon, Executive Director of the Campaign for a Free and Fair Election. We of course will delve further into the statement that was made by President Maithripala Sirisena yesterday, and to reflect a little bit upon that, to see as to how justifiable it is to change the current setup on Friday. I now move my attention to Mr. U.R. De Silva, President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Mr. De Silva, let's talk about the constitutionality of what happened on Friday. In your opinion, as the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, how do you view the change of events that took place on Friday and the last 3 days in particular?
Yes, now when you ask how it happened, I have to give my opinion, because we never discussed at the Bar Association with regard to this particular issue, because our profession has legal luminaries, so they can argue for both parties. So it is up to them to go and argue in a different forum. But as you said quite correctly, we can, on the face of it, I am in a position to explain how it happened and what would be the next stage. So according to this constitution, on the face of it, you can see section 42(4) is there, where it is very clearly stated that the president shall appoint as prime minister the member of parliament who, in the president's opinion, that is the very word we are stressing, and is most likely to command the confidence of parliament. So for that to form an opinion, the president has every right to do that. But we must know on what basis he has taken that decision. So he has taken this decision, and he think that the person who is going to appoint him is most likely to command the confidence of parliament. So that is the option it has been given. So now on that particular day, that is Friday, in the morning, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party has gone there to see the president and inform president that they are not going to be with the present government. That was the government formed by major parties, that is UNP and then SLFP. So together, that's a national government. So that on that basis, they say that we are no longer going into this particular government activity, so we are moving. So that is the very latest reason that the president has taken this decision, because thereafter the constitution says that you can have more than 30 ministers if you are in a joint unity government. So then one party is going out, then the number should come into 30. So thereafter, the president has to form a new cabinet. Then the next step would be 46-2. So it is very clear now, it is stated, the Prime Minister's affairs, so it is very clear that Prime Minister can exist till the cabinet ministers continues to function under the provision of the constitution. So now if the cabinet ministers are not there, and if the president is going to appoint a new cabinet, then automatically this prime minister's functions will be nullified. So on that basis only he has taken this decision and appointed the new prime minister.
Mr. De Silva, the question that I have for you is, if this was the case, if the president deems fit as to an individual or party commands the confidence of the parliament, he or she can be appointed as a prime minister, is well understood. That's based on the constitution, that's based on the 19th amendment of the constitution. But the question really is, if that was the case, why was it no confidence motion brought in just a few months ago to oust Ranil Wickremesinghe as the prime minister, if this paragraph or if this constitutional para is effective? What was the thinking behind it?
Only thing is that according to the president's view, it is categorically stated that he has given a chance. Because can you remember this Mahindananda Gamage? He came out and stated, President asked me to wait and we'll give him a chance. That is what they have given the explanation. On that basis, they waited. Even they never supported the no confidence motion. Subsequently, a lot of things had happened.
Because now 13 SLFP ministers crossed over to the Sri Lanka Polajana Peramana right after the no confidence motion took place. So
yes.
My argument is, if it was the case, why wasn't it done before, and why was it done only on Friday with former President Mahinda Rajapaksa being appointed as a Prime Minister?
The answer is very clear. If you listen to the President's explanation or the address on Sunday, he has categorically stated that with the explanation was given by my friend also, because the plot that had been elicited suddenly, and then he said the Prime Minister never allowed them to investigate, and then the IG has categorically denied that there is no such thing. So then the President said, what more I can do?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. U.R. De Silva, President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. We have a ton of questions that will be directed at you in a short while from now. But let me first finish the first round. I now move my attention to Janaka Veerasinghe, attorney at law. Now, Janaka, you're also a lawyer and also a member of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. As Mr. De Silva quite correctly pointed out, there are cross-sections of the bar itself which has different opinions about what took place on Friday. So I want to listen to your opinion as well. So how constitutional is this change of hands, or the pack of cards that was shuffled on Friday?
Now, first of all, the constitution, now we are going to consider whether this activity or process taken place on Friday is constitutional or not. That's the main issue. For that, law says very clearly, if there are any controversial meanings in the constitution or whatsoever the law, the Sinhala language one should be taken as a correct one, considered as a correct one. So, my friend, my very good friend, Mr. Yuada Silva, he explained that under the articles 42.1, 42.4 and 46.2, right, of the constitution, it is very, very constitutional what that President Maithripala Sirisena said and done. It is very constitutional. Now my question is 42.4 read as thus. Janadhipativarayage, this is a single one, right? Janadhipativarayage මතය අනුව පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ විශ්වාසය, am I correct? මතය අනුව පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ විශ්වාසය උපරිම වශයෙන් නැති පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරයා ජනාධිපතිවරයා විසින් අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ලෙස පත් කරනු ලැබිය යුත්තේය. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ මතය අනුව පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ විශ්වාසය උපරිම වශයෙන් නැති පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරයා ජනාධිපතිවරයා විසින් අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ලෙස පත් කරනු ලැබිය යුත්තේය. That means it's a duty of the president to appoint.
Based on the 8th chapter of the Constitution, right?
Constitution.
Okay. Just let's make it a bit clear so we know this is from the Constitution, right? Okay.
Right. Now, the present question is, when can President remove that particular Prime Minister from the post? Oh, that. For that, Mr. Yuada Silva, my learned friend, mentioned 46.2, is that correct, of the Constitution. The President is having empowered, or President is empowered by the Constitution to do so. I'll read 42, 44, 4.
That is based on the 19th Amendment to the Constitution.
19th Amendment. 44.2. 44.2. Agramatyavarya. Single one. It should be it should consider that is law. 42, 46. Sorry, 46.2. Subsection.
46 subsection 2.
Subsection 2. අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ස්වකීය අත්සන යටතේ ජනාධිපතිවරයා වෙත යවන ලිපියක් මගින් ස්වකීය ධූරයෙන් ඉල්ලා වුවහොත්. That means,
If it tenders a resignation.
right, that means that the Prime Minister, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, should write a letter to the
President saying that he has
President and
resigned
say
from the
that-
post. Yeah, understood.
written post. Or B says, BOR,
Sorry.
තවදුරටත් පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙකු නොවුවහොත්.
And
No.
there's another section as well. You're not reading that.
මිස, if not, those are the two,
Two main points, and then
Main
there's another
points.
point as well that you're missing out.
not main point, those are the two opportunities.
Opportunities, but there's another point. When the cabinet.
මිස ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ විධිවිධාන යටතේ යම්තාකල් අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩලය පවතින්නේද, I'll come to that point. ඒ තාක්කල් ස්වකීය ධූරය දරන්නේ.
So the cabinet is not effective because there
Right.
was 106 UNPers plus the SLFP
some other
members.
parties, yes.
Yes, and the SLFP members withdraw
Yeah.
from the unity government. Then the UNP is left with 106 seats, and that is not enough for them to form a government in parliament. Is that clear?
Can't say yet.
Why?
Why?
is that?
Because I'll come to the point. Constitutionally, right?
Why is
So constitution says
No,
like this. No,
Mr.
no, no,
Rao,
no,
do
no.
you agree with the fact that 106 members of parliament in one side does not mean that they have power in parliament? Is that clear? Is that
Majority
clear?
basically.
There is no simple majority there.
Now, if we are going to consider the constitution, what first of all we must see what constitution says.
Right, can I ask you a question if you don't
Yes,
mind,
yes,
please?
yes, you can ask
before
any question.
After that, I want to move to Premnath. If this was the case, I want to go back to the 9th of January 2015. The UNP did not have a majority in parliament,
Correct.
right? They only had 40 plus seats in parliament. President Maithripala Sirisena appoints Ranil Wickremesinghe as the
As a
Prime Minister of the
Prime
country.
Minister.
How so?
Under the 19th Amendment, it is very clear. It is very clearly says. First, listen to me.
But the 8th chapter of the Constitution is not being revoked by the 19th Amendment of the Constitution. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's revoked.
It's revoked. It says in the 19th Amendment of the Constitution saying that the 8th chapter of the Constitution has been revoked.
Revoked, yes.
Mr. De Silva, can you vouch for that?
No, it is very clear that
Yeah.
the particular section
Yeah.
is the thing that had been, as you quite correctly asked,
Yeah.
earlier also the president had done the same thing.
Same thing.
Right. There may be two different
Interpretations.
numbers,
Yeah.
but the thing that he had done on that occasion is the same thing. But they are also they were gone to the parliament and challenge it. Nobody challenged whether
Nobody
they
challenged,
because
that's
they or everybody knew that is understood.
That as a mandate,
That's
new
right,
mandate
that's
is
right.
given to the president.
That's right.
And the
So-
people's,
Right,
people's,
so-
people's sovereignty.
That is not legal, but
Yeah.
it's understand.
Right. So, but anyway,
No,
anyway, but there is a constitutionality on that. It's just an understanding,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's all about
listen to
practice.
this is 19th Amendment.
Yeah.
Right? ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ 8 වන පරිච්ඡේදය මෙයින් ඉවත් කරනු ලබන අතර ඒ වෙනුවට පහත දැක්වෙන පරිච්ඡේදය ආදේශ කරනු ලැබේ. That was repealed and this came to the constitution as 8th chapter.
Right.
So now it says
Yeah.
like this. Right?
Very quickly, I'll give you 20 seconds because I need to move to Premnath as well, Janaka. Very quickly, if you can wrap up, I can give you 20 seconds to wrap up. Yeah.
Now, the question that you raise,
Yeah.
can they perform a government, UNPA, can they perform a government with 106? That was the question. The constitution says, this is not regarding the, constitution says, the, what do you call that, national government or unity government or whatsoever, it says like this. ජාතික ආණ්ඩුවක් යනු, that is article 46 sub 46(5) sub article 4, right? ජාතික ආණ්ඩුවක් යනු හතරවන ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ කාර්ය සඳහා, that means the performing of national government or the unity government කාර්ය සඳහා ජාතික ආණ්ඩුවක් යනු, that is interpretation. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ වැඩිම ආසන සංඛ්‍යාව දිනා සංඛ්‍යාව ලබා ගන්නා පිළිගත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂය, පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ වැඩිම ආසන සංඛ්‍යාවක් ලබා ගන්නා පිළිගත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂය හෝ ස්වාධීන කණ්ඩායම සහ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ අනිකුත් පිළිගත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂ හෝ සංවිධාන කණ්ඩායම් එකතු වී පිහිටනු ලබන ආණ්ඩුවක් වන්නේය.
Right. Thank you very much, Janaka.
Right.
I need to stop at that. Let's talk a little bit more about it in the journalist question and answer round. But you have to be well aware by now there are 96 members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party as well as Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna who have now joined hands.
Yes.
4 crossovers from the UNP puts the figure at 100.
Up to it.
And 100 at the moment. And that means that the 106 parliamentarians which the UNP had has reduced to 102. So the advantage that the UNP has at the moment is only 2 seats in parliament.
Yes.
Right. I now move to Premnath Dulawat, attorney at law, also the convener of the Satyagraha Gaveshakyo movement. Premnath, you have been appearing for parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa for some time now. How long has it been now?
It's over after the defeat. It's like after 2015, January.
After
Yeah,
2015.
yeah.
When was the last time you saw parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa coming in shorts to the Financial Crimes Investigations Division? How many times have you
actually
seen
he
him?
has been. Thing is, it's not.
No, I'm asking a very point blank question.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen him in
it's-
shorts? At
Yeah, it's
FCI?
very often. I must tell you, because the first instances we had asked to report to the financial in FCID for once a week.
Yeah.
And
He came in
afterwards,
shorts.
yeah. So once a week from the early stages.
He came in shorts.
Yeah, I'll explain you.
Yeah.
For once a week means it's a whole Sunday morning we have to come there and sign. It's a long time, like 4 times per month. And after very lately, when the cases had gone to the high courts, from the high court they have been flexible for us, and afterwards they have reduced this signing thing for the twice a month. So I think it's very often we had to go there. And the meantime, we had to be there for giving
No,
statements
my
for a long time.
question- my
yeah,
question is not that.
it's
My
very
question-
often. It is very often.
My question is very simple to you. It's very direct.
Yeah,
How
it's very
many
often.
times have you seen
It's
him
very
in
often.
shorts?
I can't count. I can't count. It's very often.
So when was
Most
the
of
last time you saw him in shorts?
Actually, we were there 6
You were
months.
there
2,
yesterday.
4.
You were
Yeah,
there
yes,
yesterday
yes, yeah, we were there.
as well,
Yes,
and you were
yes.
right behind
Yes, we were there.
parliamentarian Namal.
Yes,
What
yes.
does this show? Just after his father has been appointed as the prime
yeah,
minister,
actually,
he
now-
comes with so much of confidence to the FCID. There's
Yeah.
there's no question about his confidence or the level of courage that he has to walk into the FCID. There's no question about that. But right after his father has been appointed as the new prime minister of the country, isn't this a sign of impunity again in Sri Lanka?
Samir, do you know, we have been there like this for a long time, very oftenly, on Sundays. The public must know, Sunday is a public holiday. The FCID is this magnificent police doesn't functioning on Sunday. Every police station function in whole other country for 24 hours, but this significant Ranil Wickremesinghe's FCID is not functioning Sunday. Sunday is for the day just to sign. So this parliamentarian, he is the son of our leader, and he was a former leader's son, and he is a parliamentarian. He has a lot of work. So actually, I wonder why this society being really rude to him regarding this. Sunday is early. Every Sunday he has to sign. So what he has done, there were little, actually I am really thankful, Samir, you have raised this question, because I had to clarify regarding this. If we do, the European country leader, whatever the person does, if they does this kind of thing, they will appreciate, oh, this, I see how liberal this person, how honest and how
Look, he's coming in shorts to, the
actually,
police.
there were several foreigners also by shorts in the inside premises. Thing is, what is he doing? He's running from Vijayarama to FCID. So at that day, Sundays, his whole exercise thing is over from there. And I must say, if you were, I can recall my memory, there was some struggle, there were some quarrels between FCID officers. Early stages of this government come to power. So Namal Rajapaksa hasn't got any issue regarding his attitudes. Whatever the injustice is there, whatever the bad thing is there, he's fighting for that. So if somebody wants...
How was he received at the FCID yesterday? Now you've been with him for the last 3 years.
Yeah, actually I
How
must-
was he received at the FCID
Yeah,
yesterday, particularly after his father's appointment as the prime minister?
Actually not I must say, when the FCID was in Carlisle Place, they were really they were treating us very badly, right? As a professional, as a lawyer, once I were there, my goodness, they were treating in a very bad manner. But when the time passes, they recognize, and after this not today, like after this 2015 February 10th victory, the government lost, and afterwards they were really good with us. Actually, they respect us, they care about us, they gave the respect, but earlier that they were not respect at all. But I don't think that yesterday, the Friday is not Sunday. I didn't see any difference, because already they had been accepted that the defeat is coming, the government is going to be changed from February 10th victory.
So what's going to happen to these two cases that have been filed against our client? One is amounting to the misappropriation of 30 million rupees that took place during a deal between the company Govers Corporate Services, owned by parliamentarian Amal Rajapaksa, and another company, and the misappropriation of rupees 7 million which has been provided by an Indian company named Krish Lanka
Yes.
for the development of rugby in the
Yeah.
country. Now, what's going to happen to these two cases based on your experience? And
Actually, those cases were taken up, taking up in the high courts right now, in the trial stages.
even despite the fact that there has been a change of governance now, you're
Actually-
of the opinion that nothing is
actually,
going to happen to these two
those-
cases that are already taking place.
It doesn't matter with this sudden government change or whatever, because if that occurred, then we have to see that it happened February 10th. But still nothing happened, because we respect law and order, and also we trust about the court system. From the beginning we have stated that FCID is a corrupted institution, and very recently we saw that from the Honorable Johnson Fernando's case in Kurunegala High Court, and we had these tape records showing that how they wanted to malpractice with these clients, and also there was one lady from the Sri Lanka Satudha. She had in front of the judge, she has stated how the FCID forced her to change the document. So at the result of that, Honorable Johnson Fernando was acquitted. So I think we as attorney, we really trust about the court system, and most probably it's nothing to do with this government change or whatever the power changes. We are really happy as attorneys. We had the justice from the Kurunegala High Court. So we
Thanks very
expect
much.
the Colombo High Court will also react on us and on that perspective.
Thank you very much, Prem Nadulawat, attorney at law, and also the convener of the Satya Gaveshakya movement. Yes.
I gave these answers as not as a convener of Satya Gaveshakya. I
As
gave
an attorney at law, as the
as
client
attorney, yes, no, because because though I appeared as a private lawyer, so that's what actually.
Premnath, please don't sound like a parliamentarian, because some of them go and meet former President Mahinda Rajapaksa in the morning, and then meet Ranil Wickremesinghe in the evening, and then crosses over
Actually, I
to the
don't-
other side.
actually,
I
I don't-
just wish and pray that you're not one of them.
I don't have any obligation with those two. Then I can either go whatever time I like, go and meet my president in this country, and prime minister. I don't mind. Even though I can, if this Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe asks me to come and help me regarding
do
any
so.
case, I'll go.
I think you're coming from a good school, that's the reason. I open the floor for questions from three journalists. Onto my immediate left is Sonali Vanagavati, who's also an attorney at law. Nice to have you on board, Sonali. Onto my far left is Deshan, and right in the middle is Nadeem Majid. So let's open the floor for questions. Let's start off with Sonali.
Thank you very much. My first question is to Mr. UR De Silva, President's Council, President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Mr. De Silva, I'd like to draw your attention to the observation of the Supreme Court in the Waters Edge judgment, where their lordships draw the attention to the public trust doctrine, where they say public power is not for personal gain or favor, but always to be used to optimize the benefit of the people. To do otherwise would be to betray the trust reposed by the people within whom, in terms of the Constitution, the sovereignty reposes. Power exercised contrary to the public trust doctrine would be an abuse of such power and in contravention of the rule of law. My question to you is, has the public trust doctrine been breached by the goings-on or the incidents which transpired during the past few days?
I think it is very clear when you go through these constitution provisions the president act according to the provisions. With the wider interpretation or different interpretation can be made, but the fact on the face of it, when we go through this and how he reacted to this constitution is very clear. So he has acted 42-4 and then thereafter 46-2 also coming in, and then another important thing is 48-1. It is very clear. So my contention is that the president on the face of it acted on that, and then if there is, this is the first time we are experienced in this constitution amendment. So we have no authorities with regard to these special provisions, but if there are any other interpretation, it is open to any lawyer to come out with any different opinion or different ideas, so that it should be argued before Supreme Court and get a clear interpretation or the way that they are going to do.
Mr. De Silva, it's interesting that you say that, because, you know, as per Article 118A, the exercise of jurisdiction on matters of regarding the Constitution finally rests with their lordships in the Supreme Court. And while we can speculate and offer opinions, whether lawyers or not, those 9 people on the Supreme Court are the ones who can definitively say that something is either constitutional or unconstitutional. Now, I'm sure you remember when the president wanted to see whether he could stay for an extra year, he wrote to the Supreme Court asking for a determination on whether the Constitution allows him to stay for another year. This is not a legal question, it's more of a logic question. If he thought that it was that was such an important question that he had to get a determination from the Supreme Court, how come he didn't think that it was necessary for him to get a determination from the Supreme Court on whether or not he has the power to remove the Prime Minister?
Only thing is, now in this particular scenario, the Constitution clause is very clear. So that is, the Constitution itself has given him the
But
chance.
that's your opinion.
That's sorry. That is also, they have also opinion. So
Mr. Edri Singh's opinion is that it's not clear.
different way. That's what I'm saying. Though we have not in a position to
But
come
it's only the Supreme Court that can say whether that is correct, whether your opinion is correct, or whether Mr. Edri Singh's opinion is correct, or whether the opinion of someone else is correct, or
But-
whether it's an entirely different opinion.
But the fact
Why
is,
didn't the president ask the Supreme Court before he removed the Prime Minister?
no, there is no mandatory requirement for that. But we
But
must
if he
remember-
felt that it was necessary for him to ask the Supreme Court when he wanted to stay for an extra year, why didn't he think that this was also
That is also
important?
Your question is, I mean, not fair, I'll say. The former Prime Minister, Ranil Wickremesinghe, hold that position as a unity government who had that particular moment. And the moment the SLFP withdrawn out of the unity government, I mean, it was the unity government Prime Minister. And if there's a unity government do not exist, so how can the Prime Minister stays down? So that is the other argument. So it is once again argument, but I'll say as it was a unity government, so there's no unity government, so how can a Prime Minister alone stay down there?
But
It is
Kirti,
not fair.
I remember the opinions that you expressed when the president asked this question from the Supreme Court about whether he can stay for another year, and you started the countdown to the presidential election. Now, my
And once again, that countdown is there. I
It's
think
still
next obvious question from the president, the seeking of the opinion, is that when is that 5-year starts?
Kirti, I'll
when
ask you
that
this
Supreme
question.
Court decision, the Supreme Court has not given when was the starting date. Definitely, within no time, I think we are having something like 345 days. I mean,
For a presidential
within 350 days. For sure, the president will once again seek the opinion of the Supreme Court when that particular 5-year term starts. We know after seeing that particular judgment, only we knew that.
So
yes,
Kirti, but
there's a
so what that example, and this, isn't that evidence that this is all politically motivated? That this is a that this is not to do with good governance and this thing. It was about political survival.
This
about
is nothing
going
to for
do
with
another year
good
or going for
governance, and
another
this
year.
is nothing to do with the constitution. This is nothing to do with the constitution. This is a political game, and there's political decisions are made, and political decisions has to be, I mean, according to the constitution, there's no argument whatsoever on that. But here, the political issues, political decisions are to deal with political.
Mr. Dolawat, Article 3 of the Constitution vests sovereignty with the people of Sri Lanka. We are the Republic. Franchise, sovereignty, all rests with us. When we're seeing this kind of change in government, now I had a problem with this even after the 2015 presidential election when an MP with 45, who commanded 45 seats in parliament was made Prime Minister. But that was, at least you could make the argument that that was following an election. There's been no election in this case. There's been a transfer of power. Do you think that the right thing to do now is that, at least in the president's, as far as the president is concerned, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa is Prime Minister. He now has the power to, with the concurrence of the Prime Minister, dissolve Parliament and go for general elections. Do you think that that's what he should do?
Actually, it's a good idea. Thing is, we have some difficulties with this new 19th Amendment and everything, but I think they should have think about this.
No, but even under the 19th Amendment, I mean, there's no
yeah.
argument there. It's
Because
very clear, with the concurrence of the
No,
Prime
it's
Minister,
like,
he can dissolve Parliament.
you might be well aware that
We can't do it.
we can't do it because 4 years and a half, 6
4.5
months,
years.
for half years we have to wait.
But before 4 years, with the concurrence of the Prime Minister.
Yeah, but
majority is the
two-third majority is the issue. Now you can
Now the issue
understand,
is
Najib.
now the
Now
issue-
the situation is, now they are, if they respect the people's sovereignty, what should they have done? Now
They should
in
go for the provincial elections.
elections.
First, that's
thing.
number one.
Now they have been postponing those elections.
14
But
months.
14 months. And because that's what I think the president himself took this decision, they have taken him to the corner and he couldn't do anything. That's what he had, actually it's unpractical.
But the
Because-
President's party was also responsible. Provincial
yeah,
council
because-
elections must be held. I
Yeah,
say
yeah,
elections
that's
should
right.
be held on a
That's right.
calendar.
Yeah,
but
but-
at the same time, the President's party was also partially
But
responsible for postponing the
yeah, I believe,
local government.
I believe JO has been,
Exactly.
JO has been fighting for the elections. So they have this
Because
good-
don't you think it's very funny that the President says in his statement that one of the reasons that he felt that this government should go is that because they were continuously delaying the provincial council elections.
Yeah.
But the President and the Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government, who was from his party, was also responsible for delaying the local government elections.
Yeah.
Are provincial council elections more important than local council elections?
Najib, I think
Is that
for
the
this
SLP?
for this crisis, I believe we would have gone for the general election very soon.
Yeah, Janaka, I want
And but
to,
thing is,
yes,
Yes, Janaka,
very quickly,
sorry.
we need to give an opportunity to
Nevertheless,
Janaka as well,
yes.
because he's representing a different opinion altogether. So yes, let's-
Nevertheless, now President says that when he addressed to the nation after this Friday process, he says the UNP government under the Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe's control, they delayed the other elections, and there was a plot against him to assassinate him, right?
sorry.
And so many issues according to that. Now my learned friend and Mr. Kirti says, they, who are they? They did it. Who are they?
You're talking about the assassination plot.
They means the cabinet and the governing party delayed that.
Delayed elections.
Yes, cabinet. Cabinet must responsible for that. Now,
It's not the cabinet, it was the parliament who did it. It's a
Right,
deliberate
right.
attempt by the parliament.
Now
I'll
you see-
name it United National Party,
how
the SLFP, JVP and the TNA.
how
who
ethical
did
the
it.
president says that they did. Now you just ජනාධිපතිවරයා අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩල I go to the Sinhalese this thing. ජනාධිපතිවරයා අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩලයේ සමාජිකයෙක්ද අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩලයේ ප්‍රධානියාද වන්නේය. That is
your point is that the
Article
president
3
is
of
also
42,
Yes.
Article 42.
So
Then
as the head of the cabinet, as the head of the government, he is also accountable for the delaying of
Accountable.
elections. Kirti, is the president accountable for
Yes,
delaying elections?
definitely, yes.
Definitely.
Definitely, yes. President and his
So
party.
at the end of the day, this constitutional crisis, that I would, my interpretation, because the Supreme Court still hasn't been called upon to give an interpretation. I mean, my opinion is that at the end of the day, the article that has been violated is Article 3. And it has been violated by all 225 members of parliament,
Article 3 of
including
the
Mr.
Absolutely
Ranil
correct,
Wickremesinghe,
absolutely.
Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, and His
actually-
Excellency the President Maithripala Sirisena.
Actually,
Another thing,
I don't like, I don't like
I don't agree with that.
I want to comment on that.
I don't
because,
agree with the
now,
argument.
Now, for the past 2 years, this JO has been telling that we need some elections, but the government they didn't give the elections properly. But they have now, even though this whole system is absurd, the local government act, new act, they agreed to go for election on that. Now you saw how these systems is collapsing inside the urban councils and these local authorities. The system is collapsing. The members can be bought by very easily, and this even though they had 70% of majority from the votes, they can't perform a.
But even at the cabinet level, I mean,
Yeah, that's what
the
I'm
buying
telling.
is
No,
happening
now
quite easily.
I'm telling this. The whole previous government is responsible for this. At the same time, from the previous 3.5 years, they wanted
So Premnath, I
go away from the elections.
Premnath,
That's
I-
why.
Premnath,
Because
I-
they postponed provincial council, urban councils, and also it seems that now
who
himself.
brought this precedent into play? Wasn't it former President Mahinda Rajapaksa who held sporadic elections time to time based on his whim
Yes,
and fancy
yeah.
that has
Yeah.
led to all
He
this?
has been named as a dictator, but he kept his elections in regular manner.
No, he did not.
He did,
He had
he did.
sporadic
In a very
elections.
irregular manner.
Irregular
No,
manner. He used
he
to
did,
have
he
around
did. He had-
9
he had-
elections
he had-
in 1 year.
He had never
Regular
postponed
and
his
illogical.
elections.
No.
He had never postponed his elections. No. Tell me what is the election he had postponed?
The Northern Provincial Council
No,
election
that's
to begin with, which
that's
could have
not
been
it.
held
That's
in
not
2009.
it. You must understand. Northern
was
Provincial
held in
Council.
2013.
He would have after ending the elections.
Local council elections
Yeah,
were held in bits and
he would have
pieces.
he would have never go for elections in Northern because he knew it's going to be lost. But he kept it.
But that's irregular.
He kept it.
Not
he kept
going
it.
for elections.
He kept
because-
it.
So this government was doing the same thing then. They're not going for
you got
elections because
no,
they knew that
no,
they were going to
we
lose.
have to be fair because we have to criticize. If my MR had done a wrong thing, we have to criticize.
But
the
Premnath,
present
is
government
that
has done
the logic by
continuously
which
doing
you should
this.
hold elections, whether you think you're
Now
gonna lose or-
anyhow,
No, I mean,
when
when it
elections
comes to
should
the
be held
local
because you should do
councils,
local
The main issue is
Najim, we have to admit that this postponement of the local council election started with the Mahinda Rajapaksa's period from the eastern province, the local councils, and then it went to the
Still
Vaunia,
there were some
and
cases.
then
There were some cases regarding that.
we know how that case
There
was
was some cases.
brought up,
No,
right?
there were some cases.
If you want, I'll deliberately, step by step, I'll say how these documents were prepared and all that, if you want. But that's history. But we don't want to live with that history.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
here, the issue here, right? The previous the Prime Minister and the present President Maithripala and Ranil Wickremesinghe, both of them deliberately postponed the elections. But I mean, during the month of October, 2-3 weeks ago, all the President's people and the Prime Minister's people and the other parties associated with that had a meeting at the President's residence, and they decided that they will consider having provincial elections before or somewhere around this next January. Just after 10 days, once again, the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe summoned a meeting at the Temple Trees and had a dinner with UNF party members. And at that party meeting, they decided not to hold elections until March. So this is one of the very crucial issues considered by the President, as far as I know. Why is it? I mean, we are continuously pressuring the president. After this review committee was appointed, and this review committee, I think you might know, only 2 sessions were taken place, only half an hour discussion was taken place, and at that time, not a single meeting until the 28th was scheduled. So we knew this is a, I mean, here it came very clear that some parties want
Wanted
to
to
deliberately postpone the election.
Just one quick question before we move on. Mr. De Silva, in your opinion, you said that when the UPFA or the SLFP withdrew from the national government, the cabinet ceased to exist.
Unity government.
Unity government, the cabinet ceased to exist, and therefore the office of the Prime Minister was vacant. If the office of the Prime Minister was vacant, then why did the President have to write a letter sacking Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe from an office that was now vacant?
No, he has to inform. The words used or the way that it was sent is a different matter. But now the other way around. Now, can you can you remember the partly Champakaranaka? He has stated, "I never received a letter from the president. Still, I am the minister." So that is why they officially they have to do something. So the official duty is to send a letter and then convey the message, and then and gazette notification also there.
But
so
in that letter, he didn't say that the cabinet has ceased to exist and you have therefore ceased to be Prime Minister.
I don't
he
think
says that he
it
has
should be
removed
mentioned
him
in
from
that
the
way.
office of Prime Minister.
Prime Minister knows it very well because
There's a very crucial question here, and I imagine this question will be asked. Was the Prime Minister removed by the President, or did his office cease to exist?
No, according to this particular section, that is the section he has used for his opinion, that it shows that there is no Prime Minister because the cabinet is no more. So that is very clear. And then there is another section coming in. If you go through 48 also, it is very clear.
Very clear.
So it says, that's right. So 48. So it is also very clear. So on that basis, the president has formed an opinion. So that opinion should be clarified or when the parliament sits on the next date. Now we have to see whether the Prime Minister, now Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa has the majority or Ranil Wickremesinghe. But we have not yet find out whether they are going to get a vote for that or how they are going to do it. So this is the first time we are going to experience that. So we don't know how the speaker is going to do that.
Deshan, yes,
That is
you
very
have a
clear
question.
that-
I'll give
Yes,
you an
sir.
opportunity.
That is
Yes.
very clear.
Mr. Edri Singh, I want to ask you this.
Yes.
Do you think President Maithripala Sirisena and former President Ranil Wickremesinghe were an unholy alliance from the beginning?
I can't say exactly whether it is unholy or not.
Because you brought up the fact that the president also has to bear the responsibility.
Yes, yes.
And if you are saying that, are you not implying that both of them are failing to work together?
Maybe, but my issue is not that. Now we are talking about many things, behind stories and everything. But what is the issue here? The act of the president is constitutional or not. That is the issue. If whether the constitution empowered the president of this country to do so or not.
Mr. Edri Singh, just 1 minute. Mr. Dolavatta.
That is I'll finish it off. This particular constitution never given any opportunity to the president to do so. That's
Right,
it.
exactly. Mr. Dolavatta, you are speaking on behalf of the newly formed government. What is the clause in which
Deshan,
you can't point a
No.
finger at
No, I am not.
anyone? They come in as independent lawyers. so
according to my conscience.
what is your opinion on the clause used by President Maithripala Sirisena to legally change the Prime Minister?
Actually, we must understand that any president in this country can't go to the Supreme Court for everything. We must understand. When the Najim, I am giving to you some answers as well. So, if the president has to go for Supreme Court for the opinions every time. The Supreme Court themselves can't do anything other than giving opinion to the president. So I believe this is, I think from this panel, the well educated panel, three of us in the same opinion regarding this incident. Most probably.
Rajapaksa used to go to the Supreme Court for opinions quite often.
No, that's his way. I don't know, but
Supreme Court is bound to give opinions.
but I'm telling
when
it's
asked.
practically we can't go for everything. This thing now, in this regard too, I feel this is very constitutional, very constitutional.
Politically.
Not like that.
Now
because,
we need to give Premnath
that is a
a
new-
few
one-
seconds
one
to
of the
answer,
duties
Yeah.
and then we
of
need to
the
go for a
Supreme
short commercial break.
Yes.
Yes, I'll give you 30 seconds,
Yes.
Premnath, to
What
wrap up.
I'm telling, you must understand. Now this is where this United national government has been formed. Now from those two parties, UNP and the UPFA. UPFA clearly stated we are withdrawing from the national government. So it's the cabinet is not like, it's not a divided thing. Cabinet is cabinet. So once it's broken, the whole set is dissolved. So we can't say now UMP we have 30, because it's very clearly says, I know this because when the good governance is coming, there was a huge hope from the people. They will limited the cabinet, and they will limited the expenditure that they have been doing. But what happened? Again the same thing. They have introduced this Jatika Andu concept, and they can go whatever these ministers and whatever the facilities they can have entertain. So what I am telling now, from that it's ended, and we have this situation is a little it's precedented. It's not unprecedented. The thing is, the former prime minister is holding this power. He wanted to continue as a prime minister. That's the issue.
Right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We now need to go for a short commercial break. When we come back, it's the third round. We need to take a break now, so let's go in for a short commercial break. And we're discussing about Sri Lanka's current political climate. Has it led to a crisis? All this and more after a short commercial break. Stay connected to Stay with Face the Nation. We will be right back. Welcome back. This is Face the Nation. I start off the third round with Premnath Dulawata, attorney at law and also convener of the Satya Gaveshakya movement. Premnath, you very eloquently spoke about the sovereignty of the people and the democratic right of the people. It's important to hold elections at the right time, completely in agreement with you. How democratic is it to prorogue Parliament on Friday and not letting the party which has the majority of seats in Parliament to show the level of confidence that the parliamentarians have placed on a particular individual? How democratic is that? The time starts now.
Thing is, once the new government being appointed, and once the new prime minister being appointed, so there are some kind of procedures to be done. The parliament seats has to be changed, and the governing party is seated in another place, and the same time the secretariats are going to be changed. Then the new whole procedure is going on, but it doesn't shows that the 2 weeks is not that much of time. 2 weeks. Then the 16th they can come and take whatever no confidence or whatever they can come and take for the votes. But this is not. They are not going to take the parliament for a long time. It's for
So,
2
Premnath,
weeks.
you're saying all this was done in order to arrange the
Yeah,
seats in Parliament?
that's the practice. That's the practice. Normally, when it's come to changing the prime minister, it had been done. It's precedented. Now, what I'm telling is now,
When was the last time something like this happened?
in the previous government also it takes some time, because it's a procedure, and at the same time at the moment the newly PM's prime minister's secretary appointed, and again now I heard the
So you're saying this is not about buying people over
No.
or getting people to cross
No,
over?
no.
This 2
Actually,
weeks period is not about that, it's about changing the seats in Parliament.
Actually 2 weeks is not that much of time. Now how long we have been skipped for these elections? or 1 year, 2 years, some of
But
the
Premnath,
elections. But-
you're saying 2 weeks is not a long time, but the last 3 days we've seen so much of events happening in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, that's the thing, because
which
now
probably puts you off your chair as well. At
now
times.
this what happened was, you know, this is actually this was due to happen on February 10th, because people very clearly gave a mandate. We don't need this no longer. We don't need this government. We don't like to see prime minister. We don't need this government. We need a change. But
But can you compare a local government with a general election?
Yes.
Can you compare
I-
a local council?
yes, I'll tell you.
to
The
parliament?
sovereignty, we can't
quite
like,
far-fetched.
we can't grade our sovereignty, our right. Even though it's a local government, even though it's a general election, that's sovereignty. We send people to govern. We send those people to govern us according to our conscience, according to our expectations. So
Then why
but
would-
but I
then
tell
why
you,
would- yeah.
now you think about this 2015 January. Why this? There was a 2/3 majority to the opposition once they have given the office to the newly appointed prime minister and the executive president.
If I may ask you, Premnath,
So
you,
at that,
you
that,
make a very,
that is
you,
that is a election.
you
That is
make a
election.
very-
We choose a president.
you make a very vital.
Not a. That's not the parliamentary election.
Yeah, Premnath, you make a very vital point here. You say about people's mandate. I want to take your attention back to prior 2015 and the 8th of January 2015 polls as well. There it was decided that enough is enough. President Mahinda Rajapaksa should be out of the equation completely.
Yes.
Then he comes back again
Yes.
to the parliament.
Yeah.
And now fortunately or unfortunately he is the prime minister of the
Yes,
country. So
yes.
where does this stand
that's
in,
the-
this,
that's
in
the-
this mandate that you're talking about?
The people always they don't make right decisions. You know, how many decisions which you have taken mistakenly, wrongly in your life? How many decisions I have taken? So there are people who has taken decisions in a wrong manner. 2015 January 8, they might think end is end. We have to end this thing. He's a dictator, and they will think they thought might be like that way. But very suddenly, 2018, once he leads the SLPP, the people think, okay, we made a mistake. This is the high time to have a change. So that's why. Otherwise, they would. Why this governing when there is a government? Every Kirti, we go to the election commission and we most of the times we struggle with in front of election commission. Within the government, they lost the elections because they understood they have done a mistake.
Thank you very much, Premnath Dulawata, attorney at law. I now move attention to Keith Tendekon, Executive Director for the Campaign for a Free and Fair Election. Let's talk about the appointment of the 12 cabinet ministers, 1 state minister and 1 deputy minister. There are 18 more seats, cabinet portfolios to grab, Kirti. And now you're trying to figure out why wasn't the rest of the 18 sworn in today. The ruling Sri Lanka Freedom Party now needs 13 more seats, 18 up for grabs. Who will cross over in the next few days and how much of cash is going to go here and there, and where are we standing now? The time starts now.
I think, my understanding, there are 3 partners here, key players here. So one is UNP, one is SLFP, one is SLPP, the both 2 people. I think 10 each of the cabinet portfolios are 2 given to the UNP, SLFP and the joint opposition for that matter. So 18 positions is down there waiting, inviting the parliamentarians from all the other parties. That's something. And moreover, the provoking of parliament, we are talking, I saw that the foreign international community, the TNA, JVP, Lakshman Kirial for that matter, was talking about the provoking of the parliament. If you look into the history, throughout under the executive presidency, this provoking of parliament was taken place in a very crucial stages. Whenever a leader is taking a political decision, this parliament provoking has happened. For example, in when the President Premadasa was impeached down there, he provoked the parliament. In Chandrika Kumaratunga, at her time, 3 times she has provoked when she was taking very bold decisions. Now, one incident was from Chief Justice Sarathen Silva's first impeachment occasion. And when the SLFP went to Parivasa Anduwa with the JVP, once again this broken hands. When the Mahinda Rajapaksa was governing, he had 2 times this provoking. It a very crucial political decisions he made at that time. And then thereafter, the present president, Maithripala Sirisena, can you remember the COPE committee report Mr. Diu Gunasekara was prepared. It was due to present at the parliament. The day before that day, the president decided to provoke the parliament to save the former president, former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's face. So here these sort of political decisions are made. Here the government or the president himself had made a very bold political decision. So he is using his executive powers, number one, his political experience to justify his position and gain power. Power is political power here. So it's not a very innocent, according to book playing level field here. So we are experience and bitterness. But here, ethically, what the president did was we cannot
just
argue.
very quickly, Kirti, before you move further, I want to pose a question to you. During the last show you came here, you said the option to move forward is not Ranil Wickremesinghe as the Prime Minister.
I still believe that.
It has happened now.
Yes.
So aren't you happy?
Here, I mean, we have to come out of this particular crisis.
No. You came on this very show and
Definitely
said
yes.
Prime
Definitely
Minister Ranil
yes.
Wickremesinghe is not the
I
option
mean-
for our country, and now you have President Mahinda Rajapaksa as the country's Prime Minister. Aren't you happy?
I mean, this is about the removal of the Ranil Wickremesinghe. I think this should have happened long time ago, especially after the bond issue, after the other corruption cases and the way he governed, the way he behaved. This decision by the president should have taken much longer ago. I knew that in 2018 March, Karu Jayasuriya was invited to take this position, which he has denied it 2 times. And moreover, I knew that during the last 2 weeks, I mean, this same offer was going to
Thank you very
the
much.
parliamentarians like Sajid. Let's talk openly. We knew this. We know this. Everyone knows it.
Thank you very much.
And this offer is made to the UNP. I mean, without giving into the Mahinda Rajapaksa, if this position was given to a UNPer or maybe for Chamal Rajapaksa or Dinesh Gunawardena, there's plenty of the people who was,
You wouldn't have had a problem.
I'll say the prime ministerial materials, prime ministerial materials
much.
here.
Last option.
Thank you very much.
I mean, after considering all those options, president has made a last option.
Thank you very much.
So, I mean,
thank you.
to
Thank you
be
very much,
fair to
Kirti
him-
Tennakoon. Thank you very much, Kirti Tennakoon, Executive Director of the Campaign for Free and Fair Election. Kirti has been very vocal and he speaks his heart out, so thank you very much for your thoughts, Kirti. I now move my attention to Mr. U.R. De Silva, President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. As Mr. De Silva very correctly mentioned early in the show that he's not representing the views of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, I thought I would probably ask you a political question as a lawyer who stands seated here on our show tonight. Mr. De Silva, today the all share price index shot up. The turnover in the Colombo stock market was approximately around 4.1 billion Sri Lankan rupees. Now, all this is well and good. I'm just revisiting the past, the pump and dump scandal that took place in the Colombo stock market a few years ago. Similar incidents. You see money being pumped suddenly to show a growth in the country's economy. And the same players who supported the President Mahinda Rajapaksa at that time are still with him even as we speak. Wasn't there some sort of manipulation at the Colombo stock market today to show that investor confidence is taking place just because there has been a shift in governance in the country? Isn't all this a revisiting of the past that we experienced?
We can't come to a conclusion in that
No,
way.
so
because,
certainly we can't.
It
Certainly
can
we can't.
be. It can be.
It can be,
certainly.
okay,
Because
yes.
you know why? Now the political change is also important for the investors. So they have shown their plight, and then they came forward. That can be one side. As you quite correctly pointed out, the other way also, because the same people, they want to show that the difference had happened. So then the index has gone up. So that can, it's a manipulated thing.
Isn't this the very reason that shows that the people of Sri Lanka may have repercussions in the short, medium and the long term because of all these reasons? Now, if you think that the dollar is going to appreciate against the rupee in the coming few months or the coming few years, that's not going to happen. If you think that the Sri Lankan economy is going to grow by double digits in the next few years or next few months, that's not going to happen. Where are we standing?
The important thing would be that the major decisions can be made by the president as well as the prime minister. That is why they have taken the important portfolios, because they have ministerial posts. The finance minister is the prime minister itself. So then he should come out with necessary requirement and necessary guidelines for us to go forward, because the president stated that by getting all unwanted and things from foreign countries was the major cause for this this financial problem, financial crisis. So for that we have to have some sort of solution. So immediately we should do a lot of things to stabilize. Otherwise we are going back again, and ultimate result would be that the same people will come into power and do the unnecessary things.
Mr. Silva, when you look at the cabinet reshuffle or the cabinet newly appointed cabinet, when you look at the leaders of the United National Party coalition partners like Partli Champika Ranawaka, Dr. Rajasthana Ratna, who is the Minister of Health, Partli Champika Ranawaka, who is the Minister of Megapolis, Rishad Badiuddin, who is the Minister of Trade and Commerce. Then you have individuals like Rauf Hakim, who is the Minister of Water Supply and Drainage. There has not been even a touch on all these ministries. So is the Mahinda Rajapaksa camp thinking that these individuals may cross over in the next few days?
Few hours.
Few hours.
So we have to wait and see. We can't predict all these things, because that is why Kirti quite correctly pointed out, they have given the opportunity for them to come in if they want to do some service to the country. We have to look into that in that position. Where
Service
plus
to the
point
country.
should be there.
Oh, okay.
So somebody might say now they are trying to get people into this particular number. So that is why they are waiting. But my position would be that they should appoint correct people and give them the opportunity to work hard. And now they have limited, they have to limit for 30 people.
Does there seem an agreement, because you have powerful individuals like Mahinda Andalutgamge, Kumar Welgama, Vimal Veeravansa? Do you think that all these top-ranking officials of the Pojana Peramuna may have told President Maithripala Sirisena, no, we don't want positions, give these positions to those who are going to cross over?
No,
do you think an agreement of that sort has been reached, hypothetically?
No, the past few days we saw they are specifically mentioning that we want to give away these things and we want to get the country going. So that is why we are going to form a government. But they said specifically that they want to have an election. So if the parliament is of the view that we should go for an election, the two-third majority can be taken, and then inform the president, and he will dissolve the parliament. So apart from that, if they are not in a position to do so, they have to wait till 1.5 years is completed.
Right then, thank you very much, Mr. U.R. De Silva, President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. I now move my attention to Janak Kedira Singh, Attorney at Law. Janak, what is happening Isn't this what the people wanted at the end of the day? Keith, you just mentioned about Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is now the former Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. They wanted him out. Right after a month they took office, they had the central bank bond controversy that took place. Then Keith spoke about 6 other incidents as well. One of them is the Central Highway. One of the others was the housing scheme that was to be implemented in the north and east, which amounts to billions of money. So much of corruption. And isn't this what the people wanted at the end of the day? And that is exactly what the president did. He heeded to the people's voice, to the people's calls to change of governance. Your time starts now.
Now, all these things, all these corruptions are in question mark. Maybe that may taken place, but is it the way to remove him?
Why not?
No, this is not the way, because the president of this country is bound to act
Can I
according
ask you a
to
very
the
simple
Constitution.
question? I want to ask you a very simple question, Janaka. Are you married?
Yes.
Right. Let's hypothetically say, this is a very far-fetched question. I probably don't want to even put this into an equation, but I still want to pose this question to you because this was somewhat of like a marriage between the SLFP and the UNP. Let's say your loved one is trying to assassinate you. Would you be with that loved one anymore, or would you divorce her? I'm trying to figure it out. Sorry for posing this question to you.
First of all,
No, my question is very simple to you.
No, no.
I'm asking you,
No, no,
you
no.
are in a situation like that.
you can compare the family with the presidency.
No, because
and
you're
the
talking about
connection
a marriage, you know.
and the connection in between the president and the prime minister. That is, there's a huge gap in between those two ends, right?
So
you
let me
can't compare.
rephrase that question.
Now,
Yeah. Can I?
no.
I need to give.
No, no.
I will get you.
Ask a question. Just dilute the question. And
No.
dilute it.
No, I think Janaka can answer that question. Janaka, but my question is very simple. Let's say you have your best friend who you started a business with. And that very person who you started a business with wants to kill you or assassinate you. Would you continue to be with him in that business?
No, I'm asking another question from you.
Unfortunately, Janaka,
When I got to know that the business partner is going to kill me, is it correct after I got to know, is it correct if I assassinate him before him? Is
there
it
is no
correct?
assassination, no? You just tell him,
Kill
I'm
him.
sorry, I can't work with you. And that's exactly what happened.
This is,
No, you asked me a question and I'm responding to you. I wouldn't kill him. I'll probably say, I don't want to work with you, and I would tell the police to investigate or remove his security, and that's exactly what President Maithripala Sirisena did. Took off his security and left him at Temple Place all by himself.
no. That you are wrong at that point.
Yeah, what,
If
how
you
am I
if you are
wrong?
going to go away from your business partner and the business, there is a business law. There is a business law introduced in this country. According to the business law, legal for the
Would you
pattern,
sleep with the
you have
enemy?
to go away.
Would you sleep
Otherwise,
with the enemy
otherwise
in
you
the-
can't stop it.
Would you
Now here, what president did is entirely against the constitution.
No, let's forget about the Constitution. I'm not talking
No,
about the
no, no, no.
Constitution.
I am not going to talk anything about
No, but
law.
I'm
because,
asking you-
because if this constitution is,
Yeah.
if this constitution is, if we are going to throw away the constitution, what we are going to talk about?
But President's claim about assassinating him is very, very grave.
Right. What have you listened to the speech of the?
Of course,
given
all
by-
37
He
minutes.
said, I can't trust the IG even, but still IG is in the position. But president is empowered to remove him. He's there. He's
No,
there.
President is not empowered to remove the IG. He has tender
He has to
resignation.
refer it to the
Yes,
Constitutional Council. So
Council.
Council.
So he
Never
can't do
done. No, nothing.
But he can't remove
Nothing.
him.
Just
the central
after.
bank governor, same format.
No. Even that action, he should take it. No, nothing done. Because now listen to me. Now President, what President did was, on Friday he took this step, right? Decision. On the next day, he was addressing to the nation. And said, these are the facts. I can't trust Mr. Vikram Singh. I am under the assassinating plot, and those are the facts, right? So bond problem is also there. Therefore, I remove him from the office. Who? I removed the President, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe from the office. For that, he should follow the law. Constitution.
Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Janaki Singh.
He didn't even see what he want. He did it.
Thank you very much,
It is,
Janaki Singh.
it is entirely against the law.
I have to open the floor for questions from our journalists because we are running out of time. We are at 11:03 p.m. We just have half an hour to go. So let me open the floor for questions. We're starting off with Sonali this time. She's also an attorney at law, just to remind our viewers. So let's start off with Sonali.
Thank you very much, Shamir. Mr. Kirti Tennakoon, one of the main criticisms of the current state of affairs is the non-conformity to constitutional and parliamentary niceties. I mean, the past few days has been like an episode of Game of Thrones almost. Something that we also see is that there's a lot of misinformation that's rife amidst social media. We see anger, frustration, confusion among the people of Sri Lanka as well. You're a civil rights activist. You have been quite vocal. Are you worried that the change that was brought in by the Government of Good Governance in 2015 has since then shifted gears in terms of the leadership?
I mean, there are so many ways that particular question can be answered, but here, I mean, both the President Maithripala Sirisena and Mahinda Rajapaksa and Ranil Wickremesinghe, all of them are very senior politicians here. And the downfall of Mahinda Rajapaksa during his period of time as a president is that he didn't, I mean, there was corruption cases taken place at that particular government, and he didn't take actions, bold actions during his term, and finally that particular government collapsed at that time. I think, I mean, this particular episode, this particular lesson has very well done by both the President Maithripala Sirisena and the former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. I mean, at that time, I mean, if these sort of assassination attempt has been taken place on Mahinda Rajapaksa, what sort of actions will he take, right? I mean, either it is Prime Minister or someone else, some minister or a deputy minister. Will he continue? Will he going to continue with Prime Minister who's trying to attempt to kill the president? I don't think so. This scenario, this common sense applies here. And if, I mean, so Maithripala Sirisena as the secretary of the SLFP might have experienced it. He might have seen that the downfall of Mahinda Rajapaksa came as he allowed to, allowed some of his cabinet ministers to do this corruption. And he saw that the penalty Mahinda Rajapaksa has paid for that. I mean, he might, this senior politician do not allow, want to see that his downfall coming as, in a way, this same corruption, level of corruption, maybe in some cases we saw more corruption than expected.
How should the government now combat this fear-mongering that's going on at present? The general public needs to be reassured that everything is okay. in your opinion, how should the
No, I
government
think,
go
most
about-
unfortunate thing happened yesterday was with the Arjuna Ranatunga's incident down there in Kolonnawa. This is very unfortunate. Two people still in the serious conditions in Colombo General Hospital, and then and that's where the people thought this could be a bloodbath within no time. But having said that, we saw some other ministers going into their offices, some their staff going into their premises and collecting their personal belongings. For example, I was told Mr. Sajid Premadas's personal staff went there and everyone greeted them very well. And their personal belongings were taken out, and even the ministry vehicles were given to take it out. Because I mean, there's no allegations for these sort of. There are plenty of people. Mr. Ashok Abe Singh, the Deputy Minister of Transport, told me that he was invited by the workers of the ministry to go down there to talk to them. Because I mean, he don't have any allegations of corruption and all that. But here, we are having a government, some ministers down there cannot act like that. Arjuna Ranatunga was one of them. Can Mr. Malik Samaravikrama go into the ministry and behave like that? I don't think so. There are plenty of ministers who's having corruption and bribery allegations in this ministry who cannot do this. They are feared of something. So I think they are the ones who was very actively involved with this thing. I mean, they should find their survival in a way. I won't blame them. But here, we are having a grave concern situation here.
Mr. Tennakoon, I'd like to draw your attention to the opinion that you possess with regard to creating some sort of a reassurance in the general public because of this confusion that's going on.
I think, this issue has to be sorted out as soon as possible. And even though President is vested with those powers with him, I think, the Parliament should be called upon, and this issue has to be addressed
Right.
Constitutionally.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Dolawatcha, you're also an attorney at law, and your position is that this change or transfer of power that took place was in fact constitutional. Right. Something that we often seem to discount is the intelligence of the general public. 2015 saw the Maitri Ranil government coming in. People voted in change. However, it has now transpired that that hasn't really worked out. There is a section of the general public that is worried about this present state of affairs, this present change. How do you think we need to reassure the general public that the rule of law will be upheld, that democracy will be upheld, that the supremacy of Parliament will be ensured? Because these are some valid concerns that the people have.
The supremacy of the Parliament will be upheld by 16th next month. The Parliament will be called upon 16th. At the same time, I must tell you now, actually, even though there is a fear going on regarding this, because it's like little bit urgency going on, I'm sure. But the only incident happened in this Petroleum Corporation incident. So actually, I believe, I hope so, this power change will be happen in a very smooth manner, because other than that, actually now this lot of issues are irrigating, and now I think the normal day-to-day life, all those things are going on. At the same time, I must urge from the people, as a professional, the people can think about these regarding these their party politics. They have to forget this party politics.
Mr. Dolawatcha, you said there was only one incident, but that was one incident which involved loss of life. There were several other incidents. I mean, I saw Keith had posted photographs of several signboards in the Tismaram area, and now this had been destroyed. There were journalists at Lake House who said that they were being
then we
threatened
just
to
talk about this past and what happened, everything. We have to come to the reality. We
Not
have to.
past,
We
these
have,
are happened Friday
it's-
night.
No, what I'm telling, we have to have this comparison. What happened is then now I didn't wanted to address, but you know previously that once my friends are talking, they have mentioned lot of times regarding the corruption of Mahinda Rajapaksa and all those. But I don't need to comment on this because it's happened past and he has defeated by the people.
No,
now
not
what I'm
about
telling,
the past, I'm talking about Friday night.
now what I'm telling, even though it's a nine incidents bad, it's not. It won't be a good thing to happen. The if they have debates with stick boards, those are not living things, no. So even that's
Threatening
what.
journalists.
Sorry.
Threatening journalists.
Whatever the incidents, actually I'm telling if they are
That's
if
not a
morality,
minor
it's
incident.
not bad, it's not good. All the citizen of this country is citizen, even though they have voted to SLPP or UMP or whatever, they are citizen of this country. We have whatever, like we expect all those people's life should be secure, even though which color they are going to vote or which party they are include, it doesn't matter. What we ask from the government, what we ask from the Prime Minister, what we ask from the Executive President, you have to safeguard the ordinary people of this country, and from the IGP and the army. So I don't want to just what I'm telling is, whatever, like even the single incident happened, it's not good. That's what I'm asking from the leaders, from the former Prime Minister. So don't complex this situation.
Mr.
So
Dis-
just smoothly do this transaction in a nice manner, and afterwards 16th you can go to the Parliament and show your majority.
On Mr. De Silva, on the subject of the prorogation of Parliament, we've seen that in the past, experience has taught us that whenever Parliament is prorogued in this fashion for this kind of sort of political horse trading, there's a lot of like deal making that happens behind the scenes within the MPs trying to muster out the numbers. Do you agree with the statement that the President has prorogued Parliament to enable this kind of political horse trading, which is also corruption?
The President has given an explanation.
And the
for
President
it.
is enabling corruption.
No, you can't do that, but the Constitution provides, even the 19th Amendment, it says, Article 70, the subsection 1, very clearly states, President may, by proclamation, can do these things. So he can summon and then postpone, dissolve Parliament. So now he has done that. So now he has given an experience. My position is that it is too long. 16 is too long. If he is in a position to listen to the people and political leaders and then advance it, if he can say that I am going to change the dates and then have the Parliament, because all the important factor
But
would be
practically, that will only happen when the numbers are figured out.
No, Najim, here, I mean, let's face the reality of that.
Article 70
The
applies
next
only when
Parliament
the-
was
only when the
due.
Parliament was dissolved.
No, Janaka, I mean, according to the Parliament calendar, right, the next Parliament day setting is due on
November 6th.
November 6th. And now it was prolonged, an additional 10 days were given until November 16. I mean, I am not happy with that. Let me categorically say it, I am not happy with that. But here, we are talking about just 10 days. I mean, if it is not happening, Parliament has to come on November 6th. I mean, if Parliament is having a session on November 6th, that's a very fair enough for everyone to do the horse trading or whatever it is.
But in this situation,
Yeah.
do you justify that a 10-day prorogation extension is okay?
I mean, this is
because
what
there's a great deal of uncertainty going on, Mr. Tennakoon.
I mean, here, even when the Bond Commission, the COP report by the Mr. Honorable Yugunasekara came in,
But
so
that
this
was a
particular
dissolution.
exercise was done. I mean, here, what you call the executive powers of the executive presidency, when it comes to the powers of the executive upon the Parliament, parliamentary proroguing is the most concerned and most powerful power vested with the President. Right? We are having executive presidency, and that's the law, that's our constitution, and the power is given to the President to exercise it.
Mr. Thenakon, if you excuse me for 1 minute, I want to pose this question to President's Counsel, Mr. De Silva. Now the thing is, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe addressed the media earlier today, and he spoke on the fact that the proroguing can only be done with the consultation of the Speaker, and that such consultation had not occurred, and that the Speaker can continue to convene Parliament. What's the legal background to this? Is
I
there
don't think it is correct because according to section 70 subsection 1, the president has the power, so he has three ways of doing that. Even if it is postponed in that way, he can again summon after listening to the speaker or as the party leaders, he can do so. That is why the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister, Ranil Wickremesinghe says something new to these provisions, because my opinion would be that, or my request would be to the President that you should summon the Parliament immediately, because now he has appointed the cabinet, and then now I think tomorrow they will fulfill all these things. But we have to remember this, as Kirti said, we have to see the reality. For what purpose it has been postponed? Why the particular day, on the particular day it should be summoned, is the date where the finance minister should propose the vote for the next year.
on that
So
note,
that's
Mr. Idris Singha, why do you think it has been prorogued?
First thing, Article 70 is not applying for this issue. Article 70 very clearly says it applies when Parliament is dissolved. After that, it is very clearly said. So therefore, no business with no. It's very clear. Is it? ජනාධිපතිවරයා විසින් කලින් I'll read the single one because ජනාධිපතිවරයා විසින් කලින් කල ප්‍රකාශයක් මගින් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව කැඳවීම පාර්ලිමේන්තුව වාරාවසාන කිරීම සහ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විසිරවා කළ හැකියි. එසේ වුවද ඈච්ඡේදයේ විධිවිධාන වලට අනුව ජනාධිපතිවරයා විසින් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විසිරවා හැරීමේ ප්‍රතිඵලයක් වශයෙන් මහා මැතිවරණයක් පවත්වනු ලැබූ ඇති විට පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විසිරවා හැරීමේ ප්‍රතිඵලයක් වශයෙන් as a result of it, right? ඇති විට ඉනික්බිතිය පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විසිරවන ලෙස යෝජනා සම්මතයකින් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ඉල්ලා සිටියොත් මිස ඒ මහා මැතිවරණ පැවැත්වූ දින සිට දින සිට එක් අවුරුදු කාල අවුරුදු 4මාර කාල සීමාවකට ඒක මේ විසිරව අරින්න බෑ. Then now the issue
That's
is
a dissolution.
Proroguing.
He hasn't dissolved
That's the issue we have.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
That's the issue we have.
Now-
we can't dissolve
now
the
it is very
Parliament.
clearly says in the 19th amendment he now the main issue is the dissolution of cabinet first.
I think it's a different way. I mean, the unity government was broken.
No,
Yes,
the
the
unity,
whole- I mean,
still, no,
the
no, no.
unity government.
I'll explain that. Let me explain it.
Thenakon, 1 minute.
Let me.
Mr. Idris Singha, I
Yeah.
want to ask you,
Unity government is still.
what I want to ask you is if that there was an agreement upon which the unity government was formed in 2015, and one party to that agreement decides they don't want to be party to that agreement anymore, does that not mean that agreement is no longer valid?
Yes.
First listen to
But
the
this comes to
article.
agreement.
First listen to the article. Then you will come to know. Right? What that our president did. Article says like this. ජාතික ආණ්ඩුවක් යනු පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ වැඩිම ආසන සංඛ්‍යාව දිනා ගන්නු ලබන්නා වූ පිළිගත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂය වැඩිම ආසන සංඛ්‍යාවක් දිනා ගන්නු ලබන්නා වූ පිළිගත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂය හෝ ස්වාධීන කණ්ඩායම සහ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ අනිකුත් පිළිගත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂ හෝ ස්වාධීන කණ්ඩායම් එකතුව පිහිටුවනු ලබන ආණ්ඩුවක් වන්නේය.
Right.
Right.
And your
Now-
argument is that the SLMC is part of this agreement.
Many
But-
parties are there.
I agree. But the
Right?
thing is,
One party left.
wasn't the agreement signed between Dumindra Disanayake and Kabir Hashim only?
Yes.
That is what I want to know. Because the agreement here had been signed by those two people. And the
Yes.
thing is, there was no SLMC representative signing as a third signatory to that.
Now, if many parties
If they are, if they are, if they are
The
members,
unity
they
government
should
is
have signed.
formed with the SLFP plus
The UNF and the
UNP plus
UNP plus
the
TNA and
both
so many
parties must
parties.
sign.
So many parties you can't say
Yeah.
because they have signed the
If
agreement.
one
Now,
party left, we can't say that no more national government.
Mr. Yuva Silva, I want to ask you.
Once I hear my when my learned friend is was telling that, I feel from the beginning there was any national government, because it should be the whole two parties come and get together and have a national government.
No, but
In this,
Not the parties.
President allowed.
yeah,
there are
that's the
certain
thing.
other
In
parties.
this,
but Janaka, I think what Deshan is trying to say is that, or trying to imply is that this is a government that has the Sri Lanka Freedom Party,
The UPF.
Nomin Dissanayaka, and
UPF.
also the
The
UNP
United
Kabir
National Front.
Hashim signing the agreement, because all the other contestants, or the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress Party, Chambi Ranavika's Party, Rajat Senaratne, Arjun Ranatunga, all of them contest under the ticket of the United National Party.
Correct.
So hence, the UNP and the UPFA came to a joint agreement to start the national government or the coalition government. So when the main party goes away, the
One of the
UNF
main parties.
is left alone.
No, it's-
they are on the
So
agreement.
they are
There are only two parties, so I
Yes.
guess,
So that is what Deshan tried to clearly articulate to you, saying that okay, only two signatories to the coalition government, one signatory moves out, so hence the president has all the right to cancel the agreement that has been reached between the two parties and dissolve the cabinet. When the cabinet is dissolved, automatically the prime minister's position becomes vacant. And then a new prime minister has to be appointed, and that new prime minister is President Mahinda Rajapaksa, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
No, I'll come to the point. Article 42 says, 4 says, ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ මතවන පාර්ලිමේන්තු උපරිශ්වාසය දිනාගත් පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරයා ජනාධිපතිවරයා විසින් අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ලෙස පත් කළ යුත්තේ. Right. And furthermore, අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයාගේ අදහස් විමසීම, the president shall always ask the prime minister whether if the one party left, are you in a position to maintain the government?
Janaka, I'm going to-
then
I'm going
only,
to- I'm going
then
to let-
only, then only,
I'm going to let
pres-
Sonali pose
prime
that,
minister will get the power
Sonali,
to dissolve it.
I'm going to let Sonali pose the
That
question to
question
you
was not
on this,
asked by the-
Janaka.
the
Yes,
president.
Sonali, yes.
So the section reads, the president may, which
May.
is not mandatory, it's directory, in consultation with the prime minister where he considers such consultation to be necessary,
Necessary.
right? Determine the assignment of subjects and functions to ministers. So it's not compulsory. There is no mandating of the provision.
Shamir, if you are giving me, excuse me for 1 minute.
Of course,
No, I mean now we are having the UNP, I mean the Ranil Wickremesinghe, Jayampati Wickremaratne and his team of so-called constitutional expert, they have prepared this document called 19th Amendment. So they did it to address all the issues which might come during the next 4 years. That's what they thought when they are drafting this. They had this document in hand, but they never expect something, the political will happen to them during the period of 4.5 years. So now,
this 19th
now
Amendment is
I mean
totally
here,
political.
outside the
Totally-
box.
total political action.
Yeah, this is a total
but
political act. Wait, I mean, Shamir, let me finish, my dear. Right, here something totally outside the box is coming into act. And the UNP and so-called the constitutional experts with the UNP, Mr. Jayampati Wickremaratne and Sumandiran and some other experts down there try to find a way out of this crisis. I mean here,
So Janaka, now Janaka, did you get
Shall
the,
I add something?
get the
regarding
point
this?
clear?
Same thing I want to add, because
Yeah.
it's something
I'll
like
give you 30 seconds, but I need to give more time to Janaka because
Yes.
it seems to me that 3 against 1. So
Yeah.
it's not looking- yeah. So, yeah, I'll give you 30 seconds.
Actually, this is,
Premnath, and then we move
I'm
to
totally
Janaka.
agree with him because it's totally political
Decision.
to implement in the 19th Amendment. See, this, but for the first thing they wanted to get rid of Mahinda Rajapaksa. So that's what they wanted to go away from that. So they changed that section. But ultimately not issued.
my question
And
is-
afterwards,
But the thing is,
and afterwards,
but the thing is,
second
the
thing is
MPs
dual citizenship.
The MPs in the UPFA
Dual
had the
citizenship
opportunity
thing.
to read this when
Sorry?
they voted
No,
for
my-
it
my
in
question
January
is this.
2000.
no, thing is, I'll tell you, that's a separate thing.
Yeah.
And the second thing is dual citizenship. They were worried about the next 2020 candidates. So if GR and BR is going to be some might be candidates. So that's
GR
a
and BR, who are you referring to?
Gotabaya Rajapaksa and President Rajapaksa. And the other thing is last one, they wanted to have president of 35 years old, the president of this country. So another 6 years of exceeding the year level.
And not
Don't you
not-
find
And
it-
regarding my
not
friend,
Rajapaksa's-
my friend,
Don't you find
that's
it
my
not
friend,
Rajapaksa's-
that's
I
my
see
friend,
so
my
much
friend.
of
No, thing is-
ministerial
thing
and
is this,
presidential
thing is this,
materials here.
why,
Right?
no, now thing
Dinesh
is this.
Gunawardena,
No,
why you are not talking
now
about
this
it?
is thing, I must say, why is this, it's really bad to have a constitutional change on people.
Premnath, now I know why you went with Namal
my
Rajapaksa
good
when he
friend.
was wearing shorts to the FCID. That's right.
You know, that's
I
what
will
I'm,
give an opportunity.
that's what I'm telling, that's what I'm telling.
My
It's
question
really,
is
it's really
Yeah,
bad to have a,
Premnath, I need to give an opportunity to
yeah, it's really
Janaka
bad
as well.
to
I'll
have
come
a
to you
constitutional
in the
change on
final
people.
round.
That's why.
Yes, I'll give you a minute,
My question is this.
Janaka, to wrap up.
My
Yes.
question is this. Now, one party from the national government, one party gone away, then on that issue, the cabinet was dissolved, right? Then automatically Prime Minister will remove from his office, right? Now my question is this: if that party had gone away, the president take the power into his hand and remove the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Why? Because no majority. The explanation is no majority with Ranil Wickremesinghe. Now, so if so, how he appoint the Mahinda Rajapaksa as a Prime Minister? Because no majority with him even.
Okay, so anyway,
Right?
we need to
So
stop
that is
at that.
illegal.
We-
So if how he removed Ranil Wickremesinghe on the issue of one party gone away from the national government, and he is appointing Mahinda Rajapaksa, who is also not having a majority in the parliament.
How did Maithripal Sirisena appoint Ranil Wickremesinghe as the Prime Minister on the 9th of January 2015 if this is the same argument that you're bringing forth?
Now you are bringing that
No, I am not bringing this. I'm asking you on behalf of the public. So
issue now.
Yeah, so my
It
question
should
to
take
you
up
is, so
at that time.
anyway, Janaka, I leave it
At
at
that
that.
time, not now.
I
Now,
leave it
present
at
issue
that.
is not that.
No, I think
Present
that-
issue is
I think
how
probably
he
that-
appoint-
that is a
how he
precedent.
appoint the Mahinda
I
Rajapaksa
think, I think the Sri Lankan law is made in such a way, based on the
Right?
based on my understanding, it's all about precedent.
Now,
So
if-
if we stop
if-
it
no,
at
no,
that.
no, my issue is
we-
this. My last thing. Now here, Mr. Sirisena, the president of this country, removed the Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe from his office because one party left from the national government. We'll say that it is okay and it is correct.
It's correct.
He says, not the country. He says, but if so, how we appoint the Mahinda Rajapaksa without having the majority of the parliament to the
Thank you very much,
same office?
Janaka,
That
thank
is
you.
the problem. That is the issue.
So you're saying-
that is how the
Janaka,
that is
thank you
how
very much.
the president misused the
Janaka,
constitution
right.
and the
Gentlemen,
constitutional
thank you very
power in
much.
this country.
Thank you very much.
That's
Janaka,
it.
Salted, don't threaten. Who is that journalist? Who is the journalist?
Darisha Bastian from the Sunday Observer.
Sunday
Yeah,
Observer,
yeah.
yes.
We'll-
So
we'll
probably you can take it up when you meet your friend the next
No,
time.
no, we'll see. We'll see.
Prem,
because the nothing wrong can be happen.
yeah, thank you very much. So anyway,
wrong things that
Premnath,
have taken place.
you speak about the proroguing of parliament, which is undemocratic and all that. I just want to drag your attention again 2015.
It is
When
unethical.
when D.E.W. Gunasekara, who was the former COPE chairman, brought in the bond scam into play, President Maithripala Sirisena prorogued Parliament, and every one of you was silent at that time. We saw in April this year, again, the Parliament was prorogued because for best reasons known to you, and also to the President and the Prime Minister. You all were all silent. And when suddenly the President prorogues Parliament now, all of you have a problem. I'm trying to figure out what that is, but I don't want an answer from you. I'm just making a statement now. So anyway, we now wait for a short commercial break. We will get back in a minute. We will have the final round for our 4 speakers, a minute each to wrap up their thoughts. No new arguments can be brought forward because there won't be any time to rebut. We go in for a short commercial break. Stay connected, stay with Face the Nation. We will be right back.